Welcome back to episode number 14 of the Income Insights podcast. I'm your host, Denny and alongside me, we got Income CEO, Lavrenti Tsudakov. Lavrenti, good to see you again. Second appearance on the podcast after we met in Tallinn last time around. How are you doing today?
Doing really well. Thank you, Danny. And for me, it's a huge pleasure, of course, to talk to you again. Really nice sunny weather here around, quite active working day. So feeling good.
All right. That sounds very promising. Overall, did you start off well in 2025? Leave alone the business side, which we'll get to in a second, but privately, everything is fine in Estonia and Tallinn?
Absolutely. Privately, for me, life is it's not boring, but typical. Kid went to school. Wife, as an auditor, is super busy with her work. So for us, it's like nothing too special.
Do you mind sharing how old your child is?
Sure. Not a problem at all. She's 9 years old, now in the third grade. Quite challenging, to be honest, for her because it's Estonian school for the Russian kid, but doing really well. Already started to speak a little bit. I mean, Estonian language.
I'm assuming a challenging time now when kids turn into the puberty age. So good luck with this upcoming years.
Thank you. I have some stories from Kimo. Yeah, he has more experience. I'm preparing.
All right. Listen, obviously that you mentioned Kimo last time around, we addressed kind of income's performance in the previous year, 2024, had a quick recap about the most important highlights. Today, obviously, that's why we bring you into the show. We want to hear about the outlook for 2025 this year. What are the targets? What are the objectives from income marketplace side? What you want to achieve this year? What you want to accomplish? So let's dive into this kind of framework today. Maybe to start off, very open question, and then we can jump into the single cues then that you probably will give. What's the overall target, or what are the overall targets for income marketplace this year? What do you want to accomplish?
Sure. Last year, the main focus was on revamping all the processes, internal processes, how we work, how we onboard, what we do with the loan originators, how we measure performance of affiliates as well. For this year, the main target will be to utilize all this knowledge and the new processes and, of course, to grow. We would like to keep the same tempo as 6 loan originators per each year. Of course, we will touch it slightly later, but moving pretty well. By the end of the year, I would like, and of course, the whole team, we would like to see that we achieve 35-40 millions of assets under management. And this is the main number for us. We keep it as a target because it will decide are we profitable or not. It will decide are we successful in onboarding not only loan originators, but the investors as well. Because, of course, as always, and you see that from the Telegram, we have to keep it all in balance, meaning supply, demand should be more or less not equal, but not super unlinked from each other, because otherwise there are unhappy loan originators or unhappy customers. So from the really, really high level, we'll keep it as the main and ultimate goal. And I guess smaller topics you will be covering slightly later. So I will stop here and cover in more details when you move with there.
All right, good start. Obviously, assets under management has been always, by nature, been a big topic with income marketplace, given the necessity also to reach them profitability when scaling to a certain size. Now, last year, I wrote it down, you grew from 10.7 to 19.2 million euro in assets under management. How realistic do you think 35-40 million, which is like doubling again the result from the end of last year, how realistic do you think it really is to reach this milestone or this target by the end of the year?
To be honest, I don't believe that we need to have any unrealistic targets on the table. It should be challenging, but it should be achievable, of course. From that perspective, I would say that it's doable from all the perspectives. Of course, it really depends on the loan originators pipeline. And here I must say that it never looked so good. We have a new guy who is covering this part, and he is doing really great job. I see that we are not only focusing on the new regions, but we try to really nicely utilize the existing ones. So this year will be, of course, split into big directions. So like utilizing the existing markets, because for us it's much easier to find a new partner on the existing one. We know how legally setup is working. We know more or less how it looks like, how it should work, what type of SPV we should be using. But of course, from another angle, we have done quite a lot of preparations for the new markets. We did some research, and legally we also know more or less how to approach those markets. I would say that's doable. I cannot say it's easy, especially if you check assets under management at the moment. Now it's growing, but the tempo is not so great. And in Telegram, you also see a lot of questions around that. To be honest, I did it intentionally, a little bit intentionally, not replying there before the podcast. I believe it will be much better to cover some topics now. People have those questions, and let them just hear it now. And of course, if some things need to clarify, I'm happy to do that. And under management at the moment, that's interesting situation. All the loan originators are in, I mean, existing ones, in the stage when they are growing, but there are some things which are like keeping the tempo not that high. For example, Dana Rupia. From Dana Rupia, we got an indication that they have issues with Apple application, iOS. They're updating that, and the promise was that within 2 weeks or something, they are going to fix it. And now they are just relying on the existing channel, which is Android. I mean, the channel which is left. Then a couple of days ago, I had a talk with Sandfield. Of course, you have seen that Sandfield is not actively listing. They indicated that the change of the year, it took for them some time to get back to the same production, because year changed and quite a lot of law firms in UK were closed, just not working. And at the moment, they have really active pipeline of new leads, but all the cases are pretty big compared even to previous ones, meaning that vetting of all those cases is taking a little bit more time. But CEO from Sandfield said that they will start to list even more than before, and their appetite is pretty big one. So for us, it will be a challenge to supply a sufficient amount of investors. The first listing was done yesterday, and from the paperwork, I see that more significant amount is on the way. So I hope that it will be fixed also pretty soon. Then Hovi. For Hovi, yes, they just rolled out a new product, and demand is pretty okay. I would say it's being sold out really fast. Of course, thanks to interest rate. Regular loans, so they say that they will be listing slightly more when they will finish. I cannot disclose it now. We are still in paperwork, but pretty soon you will hear some news about Hovi. Not negative ones, but it's taking time for them to prepare. Current Latvia-Lithuania listing, I just checked yesterday, the tempo was just as promised, so I guess nothing new from there. And ITF, to be honest, going really well. I see that they're super close to be a loan originator #1 on the platform. Let's see. It will be competition between the Narupi and ITF. But as you may see, currently is the moment when all the loan originators like preparing some stuff. They have plans. I see that their production is working, but as always, it takes a little bit time to get on track.
All right. Thanks for sharing those insights. That obviously ties into the debate how to fuel the growth, because obviously by breaking it down, we need the supply side from the loans, but also investor demand. Now, if we look at the loan supply side first, now you mentioned already a couple of highlights from the currently existing lenders. What's interesting for me, and I also witnessed this kind of trend that Dana Rupia, I think towards the end of last year, they stood at 7, maybe 7.5 outstanding. Whereas now I think due to the nature of having short-term assets, obviously, they're now down to 5.5, very close, being overtaken now by ITF, being the biggest lender. Given the nature and the historically, like, let's say, importance of Dana Rupia, how concerned are you that they might not be as a strong pillar as you probably need them to manage your goals this year?
Of course, it worries me as well, and that's why we're in a constant contact with Dana Rupia. Their promise is that they will still go back to the same levels. And current drop, as you just outlined, is caused by their regulator. Because of regulations being introduced, they are switching to slightly new product. They are changing some terms, and now they're actively testing this product. Meaning that, again, as I said, like two things came at the same time. They are fixing their application, plus they have a new product which they should roll out on the market. The promise, as I said, is pretty simple, that we will get back on track. I have zero reasons not to trust them, because all those years they were really like open to communicate openly, saying what is happening, how market looks like, and currently those things happening on the background are mainly preparation to have similar production.
With that new product about to be launched or to be then also placed on income marketplace, will the loan terms become longer as a consequence?
Yes. Currently, this product is already in test. I mean, from Dana Rupia side. From the legal side, we already prepared that they can list it on the platform. So technically, we are ready now. And yes, the term will be longer. It will be up to half a year term loans.
Okay. Still seems like a good range for sufficient liquidity, because a trend that I also witnessed when you check the primary market, there's rarely, after the AI catches some loans for the investors, there's rarely any loans for loan terms with less or shorter than 2 years. Is it something you also actively try to work on to bring more short-term assets back to the marketplace?
Of course, we are working on that, but I will be transparent here that we are not selecting loan originators, I mean potential ones, purely checking duration of loans or interest rate. We still try to find the balance to have everything on the platform, from the short ones to the longer ones, and the interest rate itself also is reflecting our risk appetite. Of course, we can bring some really high yield loan originators, but later we will understand that they are causing also some troubles because the quality is not that good. So my reply here, of course, if we will see possibility and if we will have, let's say, like 2 similar loan originators on the table, and we see that one will be specifically better fit for investors, purely from that perspective, of course, we will pick this one. But at the moment, still we are working, keeping the quality in mind. Still, we believe that we should go only to some specific regions and skipping intentionally some other ones which are promising to be much more risky. So for us, it was always the balance between investors and the security, and we cannot compromise any of them. But the price is that we cannot offer, super short ones or super high interest rates.
Now, obviously, looking at the other side, on the supply story, what are your targets for this year on bringing on new lenders to the platform?
Loan originators, From that perspective, yes, I see that this year and the next one, actually, we are not changing plans that much, at least now. We are looking to onboard 6 new loan originators each year.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you?
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but okay, so 6 new loan originators this year. You also like look at, I know I had this conversation with Kim in the past, but what is like the volume level that you also try to achieve with those respective lenders? So do you feel like this is for those 6 lenders that are to be onboarded this year, they will bring sufficient volume to manage, let's say, another 20 million of assets on the platform?
Yes, of course. As I said, we changed the process slightly, so we are not taking on the platform loan originators which are not promising to bring sufficient amount of assets to the platform. Of course, sometimes those promises are not being fulfilled or it takes more time. But now we always are trying to find loan originators which at minimum is promising to bring 1 to 3 millions of assets to the platform. Plus, we are doing really active work with the existing ones because we would like to see them growing. We would like to see them introducing new products. And of course, with them, we have always the plan that, okay, guys, until the end of the year, what is your target and how we can help you? It helps a lot. We have periodical meetings just to understand, okay, you have an idea, we can have a solution potentially. And as a result, it already brought some new products to the platform, like those loans from Hobby, for example. It was born purely in the discussion. And I believe that this approach that actively keeping the existing ones growing, plus knowing that this is the more or less promise from the new ones, I believe it's really doable.
Can you share already, because it seems like there was how do you say this? There was quite a long dry spell in terms of onboarding new loan originators. Last year you had kind of small comeback onboarding freelenders with Current Auto. We had Ibanka and Sandfield Capital. Now you want to double this amount this year alone, next year to come as well. How close are you to onboard now the next loan originators, and what can you share already in terms of geographies, loan products, just like anything that you can communicate and disclose already now?
Yes, I have to be careful here. I mean, we are preparing paperwork and the legal setup for those loan originators, but we don't have signature yet. And that's the only reason why I will not be disclosing the specific names of the loan originators, but I will share as much as possible. Then I would say that the closest two ones, loan originators, which I will cover, should be onboarded really soon. The first one is coming from Kosovo. And yesterday, we already asked our lawyer to provide, this execution version of the framework agreement, meaning that it's a clean one. We agreed on the business terms, and I really, really hope that this week we will be able to put a signature, and then we will have an announcement. This company is dealing with direct lending and car leasing, from Kosovo. And they are looking to fund on the platform something like 500K per month, which is already pretty good amount and volume of loans. Again, name slightly later. I would like to share, but I cannot. And another loan originator, pretty the same situation. We have agreed with them that all, actually with just as with other loan originators, all their data, financial data, should be audited. And now there are a couple of last steps that first of all, they should pick the auditor and indicate to us that that's our selection. And we should sign the agreement. Everything is prepared, all the terms are already on paper. It will take time. I don't believe it will happen this month, but I'm pretty sure that the next month it should be really doable. And this is a car leasing company from Lithuania.
Okay, so in terms of geography, you seem to stick more to the European economic area now, and car leasing seems to be a very popular model these days.
Yes, really popular by understandable reasons that those companies are looking for additional funding, and it is not that easy probably for them to go to the local banks. Regarding the European economical area, that's coincidence that those two are the closest ones, to be honest. Because if you check our pipeline, then we have quite a lot of progressive leads from Colombia. We have quite several from Indonesia, and a couple of them are super promising ones. I would be personally extremely happy to see them. They are huge, they are established, and they are coming from regions we already know how to operate there. They are coming through the stages that engagement letters are signed, and we have this step in the process just as a commitment that, okay, guys, you would like to be onboarded, but as a part of everything, please prove that those things are not just words. And moving nicely, signing documents really quickly. Some of them are coming through the KYC procedure, and I must say that for them, this is pretty painful process. Our KYC officer is he knows how to do his work, and he is asking all those questions, asking all those papers. So I believe it's driving a little bit crazy loan originators, but I believe it must be done. Otherwise, how to work? Yeah, so regions is pure coincidence. We are also focusing on another regions as well.
Maybe one last question here to wrap up the onboarding of new lenders. In the past, I had conversations with Kimmo where sometimes he emphasized what's maybe missing for income is having like a very strong, big core pillar partner that really like manages a lot of volume and that can bring a lot of volume to the platform. How close are you of maybe finding or identifying this potential target, and how much easier do you think it will become by the time that income is really like establishing itself more and more in the market, becoming profitable, maybe becoming regulated one day? So how close do you think you are of, let's say, finding that big fish on the lender side?
Yeah, I like this question. Thank you. You know, for me, it was a really interesting situation, let's say a couple of years ago, when we had potential leads coming to income. We have, of course, those intro calls. And before it was always the case that, okay, not always, but pretty often, that they were saying, okay, guys, looking good, you have a good team, you know how to do the business, but you're too small for us, please come back later. Now we have two ongoing discussions with pretty big ones. I mean, one of them is having portfolio of 50 million of assets under management. So for us, it's I would say that's a big fish. And zero questions regarding that we are too small for them. They have signed already two first papers and moving nicely. So if KYC will be done, I would say, I hate to say something before it's done, but here I have.
Don't jinx it.
Yes, exactly. But here I have at least a good feeling that moving nicely, and that's the big fish. We will do everything to onboard them, of course. If they will proceed, we will keep them as a priority. And of course, I would like to see such loan originator as well. We need it, obviously. We need to grow because being profitable and growing is the way of being secure for the investors as well.
Good bridge now discussing the other side of the coin, which is obviously the investor side. And here I would like to know, retail investors being always like at the core of the income business, but at the same time you started now having the infrastructure for institutional investors as well. What's your forecast? What's your prediction this year? To which extent institutional capital will play a bigger part in the growth trajectory of income this year?
As I said, yeah, now we have all the functionality for the institutional investors. And I believe the existing one was already covered in the discussions before. That's, of course, was a trial. And of course, for us, it's a proof that we are capable of not to deliver just the functionality, but to provide for them all the possibilities which they're looking for. So far, feedback is super positive. They say that they like the platform, they like how it works, they like the process because for them it's, to be honest, zero hassle. You deposit funds on the account, and if KYC is passed already, then it's just a couple of clicks and it is done. This year, I would like to see that institutional investors is threatened as a separate stream of the onboarding. In CRM system, we will have a dedicated pipeline for them. We already have a list of potential ones. Functionality, we don't need to develop anything because everything is prepared and it's unified, so you can just plug in new ones and it's working. So for them, it will be just a paperwork. We will start dealing with them slightly later. My personal internal target is a couple of them each year, but it's not a hard target because now we need to go to them, have discussions, just to understand, okay, what they expect, how it looks for them. And we are not starting super actively those discussions at the moment. The plan is, of course, to provide sufficient supply of loans. And as we just discussed, there are some things which should be done more. And then we will go there. And then I will be in a position to disclose any hopes and amounts. But so far, the existing one deployed several hundreds of thousands to the platform, all invested, all is working. So for sure, we will be looking for somebody similar or larger.
In terms of retail investors and maybe nurturing bigger ticket sizes, something that seems to be always in the backlog is the loyalty program. Now, Kimmo, I think it was in the previous episode, mentioned the likelihood is very big that it's about to come this year on income. Can you confirm this? And maybe explain also the structure, the bonus system, something that you have in place, and if it's going to come this year then.
We have it still in plans, yes, to roll out some loyalty program, but we have several approaches how it can be done. Sorry, Denny, I will not be confirming the way it will be working because we haven't selected any. We can replicate some existing platforms, but as always, somebody should be paying for the loyalty program, and we need to decide who is this counterparty. Any decision here is having minuses and pluses, but no, I'm not in a position to comment on. Sorry, probably later.
The likelihood, or at least the likelihood of a loyalty program being implemented for investors this year, where do you see the chances?
I would like to be implemented this year, and we will touch this topic as well, I guess, today. For that, several preconditions should be filled, but the biggest one of them, that we are going soon to go to look for funding. I mean, like equity funding on a crowdfunding platform, which I will not disclose so far as well. But that's the reason why we're so busy at the moment, why I'm not replying in Telegram as well. We are in the preparation phase, and it's a huge bunch of documentation, I must say, which should be prepared for that.
That's a good cue. That's why I wanted to switch to next, the financial situation, the financial state of income marketplace. We mentioned assets under management, reaching profitability, hopefully towards the end of this year on a monthly basis. How important is it for income to become profitable this year? And is the crowdfunding, does it kind of tie into it, and the necessity to raise external capital to continue the platform operations?
Of course, that's important, and I guess that's important for our investors as well. Being profitable, I mean operationally profitable, that we know that as a platform we can cover all our costs, we can grow and keep growing as a part of profitability. Of course, we need to feed new loan originators, new investors. That's the security part. We should know that if we would like to, we can operate without any external support, and everybody knows that this business is rolling and flying. So of course, we will keep it as a really important target, and by the end of the year, with the assets under management forecast, this is more or less achievable. But of course, we need to remember, if we would like grow much faster, let's say we would like to onboard 3 times more investors to the platform. Of course, it means that we have to push much more funds to the affiliates channel, buy some ads, and of course, it will impact profitability. So as always, this is the act of the balance. but keeping the current tempo, that's more or less in line. Then regarding funding, to be honest, I see that we are moving nicely, but we need this push and help to move much faster. For example, we have a technological debt in the system. We need to make it slightly faster, and we see complaints that people would like to see it like a slightly faster system, let's call it like that. We need to deliver a secondary market, which was a promise for several years in a row. We need to improve UI because filters are working, but again, slightly revamps should be done there. And it's much easier when you have more funds and you can utilize them now, so it will be supporting your growth in the future. I look on this funding not as a trial to survive. This is actually something we should enable and boost our growth. Of course, we would like to grow faster and we would like to deliver those features now. Of course, that will keep our investors more happy and we will be focusing more on purely growing activities because at the moment, as always, we have to solve some technical issues. We have to reply to inquiries from the customers. Why this thing is working, why this thing is slow. And as a small comment, actually, AutoInvest, last week we received a lot of requests about AutoInvest that it is not working or there are some bugs. It's working, and it is working as it was intended. The only problem is that we have much more investors and requests to invest into loans on the platform, meaning that, for example, when Dana Rupi is listing something, and you see a search result, I don't know, like 100 loans. At the same moment, when the search returns those loans to you, there are like hundreds of auto-invests which already started to grab pieces of the same loans, and they just cannot disappear from the screen. We cannot keep a dynamic, otherwise it will be jumping all the time, and you will not understand like anything what is happening there. So I would, prefer to focus purely and entirely on delivering new features and fixing supply of loans. Then we will have zero questions about the auto-invest. You just wake up, check your balance, that everything is invested, and that's it. For me, that's the ideal situation.
All right, thanks for sharing. So maybe to summarize, the main objective in terms of the crowdfunding would be to get enough money to launch a secondary market, IT improvements, UX, so let's say the interface of the platform's website. How much money do you need to enable those changes? How much do you want to raise? Can you disclose the amount?
By the way, not only those are the targets, let me supplement a little bit. This is the half of our ideas, what we would like to do. The second part is to improve or to boost loan originators onboarding. We would like to open new markets like Mexico and Philippines. And of course, we need to prepare legal setup. And for Mexico, it's pretty complex one. But we see that the market is growing, really nicely growing, that it can be a really nice offer for the investors. I would like to activate that too. And for the Philippines, we also have quite a lot of leads from there. And it looks like really interesting market. So we need to improve that as well. And the fourth, I believe one of the most important pillars is team improvements. We need a couple of new additional team members in the team. Of course, when I say couple, I'm not like entirely sure how much we will be able to raise, but we need internal help with data, with analysis to just keep things moving faster forward. And regarding the amount of funding we're looking for, I would say that this is around 250K, which is not super huge amount. So, yeah.
Okay, what's the timeline here?
We would like to launch the round itself in 1 month. We need still to prepare some paperwork. We need to shoot a video here in the office. Pitch deck is already like 99.9% done. We need to finalize small budget things, but yeah, we're pretty close to launch it.
What will be the platform? If I remember correctly, the first one has been Seeders, if I'm not mistaken. Can you share on which platform you want to raise?
No, sorry, until I have a signature with them, I cannot disclose.
Okay.
Yeah, we are reading agreement, but signature is not there yet.
Yeah. Okay, then let's not make it public yet.
Yes.
Maybe another objective for this year, I'm not sure, maybe you can comment on it. Regulation, always been a topic of having income marketplace on some regulatory legs, so to say. Do you think it's something that's going to happen this year? Or what's maybe your general, because I think we both have never talked about it. What's your idea about regulation in general for income marketplace, obviously? And do you think that's something that you can accomplish one day within Estonia, within a legal framework, or do you feel like this will require also to change the jurisdiction?
That's a good question. Let's start from the Estonian regulated landscape. First of all, income is not a crowdfunding platform. We are selling claims, which is like totally different business. And surprisingly, for me, Estonia is still not there. We don't have a local regulation for this type of the activities. When I joined Income, I believe it was 3 years ago, I remember that this specific regulation was in a draft state, and it was pretty actively changing, moving. We were tracking that, of course. And on the background, we started to plan activities, how to be like fully compliant with that. And personally, I would like to have it. Otherwise, like we have a lot of questions from the investors. Guys, we are not regulated. Why? It looks bad. I fully support if we should have it. But Estonia, still it's in a draft state. Still it's somewhere there, and still it's not ready. And despite the fact that we would like to be regulated, we just cannot to fit the Estonian regulation at the moment because there is nothing for us. Let's hope that war will be ended and they will put more attention to that. But last couple of years, it's not moving too much. There are, of course, alternatives. We can go to Latvia, Lithuania, and try to acquire their licenses. We did research for both countries. We have a scope, like what documentation should be provided, what new roles should be introduced in the company. All looks good. The only problem is that for us, it's a pretty significant investment, meaning that we need to hire additional people, we need to have a local offices so in any of those countries. Still thinking, for me, it's not a question of this year. I still would like to see how we achieve all the targets for this year, how funding will come. And then we will start looking again around and comparing, like, is Estonia moving? If not, then we will roll out a plan for this part as well. But I would say this is like a slightly longer term planning, not for this year for sure.
All right, thanks for sharing your ideas and thoughts on this. All right, then maybe to wrap up a topic that's maybe a little bit more recent, I want to finish off with the recovery of ClickCash. What do you think are the chances that the outstanding liabilities will be covered by the end of this year? Now, there has been a longer transition period where there was a little bit of uncertainty. Will income continue to bridge the payments? Is there funding, or is there a payment coming from ClickCash itself? Please pick our listeners up. What is the current situation, and what's the likelihood that this topic or this chapter will be closed off by the end of this year?
As you can imagine, personally, I also would like to close this topic and forget about, because we received some questions still. ClickCash itself, recently had a contact with their CEO asking, like, guys, what are your plans? Are you moving somewhere? They are actively looking for funding as well. They have a plan to relaunch the business. They have all the calculations done, and they confirmed that at the moment they're really actively talking to potential investors. No signatures yet. but really actively moving direction as well. For us, it means that we have two options here, like either we wait when they finalize this topic, or we will start just bridging as we promised before to our investors. My reply here will be that we will start bridging in any case. I mean, this will they be funded or not? For us, it will be just a moment to switch our bridging to their payments if they will be capable to do that. The plan is that first of all, we need to launch the funding for ourselves, and it is impacting our budget as well. I need to do some calculations. I need to see the final budget for the crowdfunding. And if we can squeeze, then we will start bridging already this month. If not, then we will start the next one. And we will get back to the old plan as it was before we post this activity.
Okay, understood. So yeah, a little bit of uncertainty here as well. Good intentions, obviously, but as long as nothing is signed, nothing to do at this point in time. All right, yeah. Then lastly, maybe there's something left that you feel like is left unspoken, so to say, in terms of targets for income this year. I personally have perceived this conversation as, you seem very confident about this year, very eager to accomplish a lot of things. There's a lot of ambitious targets, but with I feel like good plan of action in the background. So what's your overall feeling? And maybe, as I said, some topics left unspoken, something that you feel like is worth addressing again towards the end in terms of the outlook for income this year.
Yes, as you said, we have ambitious targets, but I believe they should be ambitious. And basis and feeling for this year also is not coming from the air. In the end of the last year, we had in focus like two bigger topics. The first one was to reshuffle all the processes. I mean, loan originators onboarding, and we did, I believe, 3 iterations of changes. Plus, we have a new guy, and his delivery, as I said, is good. Secondly, we started to measure in much more details all other streams. Before, of course, we calculated how much we spent on affiliates, on onboarding new investors to the platform. We did a step further and started to measure like in much more details this stream as well. And we started to select really precisely whom we would like to see as a partner. What's the promise, what's the cost, what it will mean for our budget. And I believe it will help us also move with more confidence and transparency. Because as a manager, of course, I need to see both those parts and how they are aligned, and are those streams synchronized. I will be slightly pushing guys to synchronize between each other even more. I mean, on the budgeting perspective, of course, we all are here and we discuss all the time. But I would like to see the more precise and more long forecast for that perspective. So far, results are really good. I have all the numbers, I have all the projections. Steffi did really enormous and super nice work in terms of all the calculations, splitting in each possible direction. Now I have super nice overview of everything. To be honest, my personal feeling is that we just need to deliver. We know what to do, we know where to go, we know how much it costs. Just execution left, which is not the easiest part, of course. But everyone are so capable, so I have like 0 questions here. I know that they will deliver. Of course, I just need to make sure that quality is not compromised, that we are not trying to move, too fast. I don't support any shortcuts here or skipping something. It should be really like a quality work still. So yeah, we'll try to keep balance here to move really fast. We have all the numbers, and I really hope that when you see pitch deck, you will also feel that now we have much more reliance on data. and we will be tracking, of course, how good we are here, and we will be learning from that. But I believe that all the decisions and all the plans should be coming like from really deep understanding and calculations of what you can do, what you cannot do, and of course, how much you can afford to spend. And of course, there is a plan like if something goes really, really wrong, how to keep the platform alive without overspending, which is not super hard, to be honest. We just need to keep some basic functions alive, and investors will not be impacted at all, which is also important.
All right. Good words. Good words to wrap up the 14th episode of the Income Insights podcast. Lavrenti, thanks so much for joining the show once again. Hopefully not so long until your third appearance. Thanks for sharing all those insights. In most parts, although you had to disclose a couple of things, or you couldn't disclose a couple of information, a very positive outlook. So yeah, the plan is there, the framework is set. Now it's time for the execution, as you just said. So I wish you all the best with your operational activities this year. Obviously, we'll follow closely. And yeah, then hopefully will be a good and fruitful, successful year 2025 for income. Thanks for joining the show, and let's get to work.
Yes, thank you, Danny. It was a pleasure. And as you said, let's get to work. We have a lot of stuff on the table.